Marketo has a great design to navigate to different areas. And we know that there's database, there's admin, there is marketing activities, there is design studio, and there is a lot of functionality about them. You can build templates, and let's talk a bit about design studio. This is where you are having the purpose of building the emails, the web pages. We call them landing pages in Marketo, and you create the forms, and there is a lot of functionality about it. You can build the templates, you can set up dynamic content in interesting ways, and set up functionalities in the forms. For example, you could do the conditional visibility, wherein you have that implemented on the form so that you have a conditional option to select based on what is selected in one field. For example, in the GDPR projects, we use this a lot, that if the country selected is Germany or something from Europe, then we do show the opt-in checkbox to seek consent. So things like that. Although GDPR is comprehensive and pretty large, but just giving this as an example. Or when you want to make certain fields mandatory, that okay, this is something I definitely want. I don't want people to miss it on. You could, do that kind of functionalities. Forms have a very interesting list of functionalities. And although Design Studio is not the only place where you can do all this, this is kind of the work area to explore the new assets and manage the global ones. The usual practice is to place the global assets in Design Studio and create your local ones in the campaigns you are doing on a day-to-day basis. For example, you could build a master landing page template or an email template and build all your emails upon this one. But you place your master email template or the master landing page template inside the Design Studio because it's kind of global to the instance. And a part of that, of course, you can store files, you can upload files. We do it all the time. We upload the images of the banners and all the assets around the campaigns we have. And you have the forms, maybe some important forms like, maybe contact us form or the forms where you are seeking inquiries. Like those are not local to a campaign, those are something you are maybe promoting in every campaign. And it's typical to have some important aspects of design templates in Design Studio, and you build your emails and landing pages in your campaign. And that is done in another area. You do the campaigns in another area, and that area is called marketing activities. And that is what we are going to talk about today. So, after talking about databases and somewhat about Design Studio, there are more areas to manage more stuff in Marketo. We already talked about databases, which is another important area, housing the audience list. Next, we have marketing activities and analytics, which are huge areas in themselves. The marketing activities area is the most used, as this is where you do your day-to-day stuff. This is where your data management programs are built. This is where every operational program is built. Every workflow is implemented in this area. In addition, the volume of campaigns happen in this program. Your programs to run marketing initiatives like events, webinars, trade shows, or more like conferences, whatever you are attending, the email communication around your events, around your marketing initiatives, and some marketing operations for them, all are configured in this area. The overall mechanism to distribute and report on the content performance, by content, I mean the email performance in this case, all that lives in the marketing activities section. This is where you build your newsletters. This is where you build your nurture programs. This is where you build your abandoned cart sequences. This is basically where you build everything. And if we talk about some operational programs, the most common ones are the life cycle models, the scoring models, and there can be other operational custom models which you are building for your own unique needs. There is really no rule of building these in Marketo. None of the concepts I just talked about are inbuilt. There is no concept of life cycle models or scoring models as such in Marketo. Marketo just has a feature of scoring, and we define all that methodology. You could literally come up with an entirely new concept and build it into Marketo using its feature. Marketo just allows you to add the scores, and the whole program design of scoring is a way to score leads which is imagined by consultants, marketers, and the community. This is also one reason why there is so much debate about how MQL is dead, why scoring doesn't make sense, because it's your version which doesn't make sense. Someone may be using an upgraded calculation which might make perfect sense. It's the solution, not the scoring. But anyway, understanding all this requires you to understand one basic thing in marketing activities, which is programs. Programs are kind of like the fundamental building blocks of creating everything in Marketo to run campaigns. And to understand this in more detail, it's important to understand the concept of programs. Think of programs like a residence. Many details of a marketing initiative live here. If you want to send a newsletter, you want to have a workflow to define the audience from the database. So you can filter that subset of the database and select the audience of your choice. Now you need to design an email and write content for it. You need some way to send that email to that audience. You may also want to track progress of all people whom you send that email in terms of their marketing funnel stages or something else. You may want to send some people to sales in Salesforce because of their relatively higher engagement, which needs an integration with Salesforce and some method to push them to sales. You need a landing page to describe your offer in more detail and list the benefits of it, or collect registration if you are promoting an event or a webinar. The point is that there is so much to organize. If you don't have a dedicated space for every marketing campaign, it will become very hard to manage. Or to put it more clearly, there has to be some way to manage this, and that way is Marketo programs. So, programs are like the residence of details of different projects you do. These projects can be marketing campaigns like managing email communication and marketing operations for a webinar, setting up nurture sequences for people who sign up for trials of your product, or these projects can be purely operational where you're not sending marketing emails to audience but managing data and context about your audience. For example, life cycle models where we are used to flag different funnel stages to have a view of how much of database is in all different funnel stages. It can be a scoring program or it may be a consent management program. Recently, I have been working on a data retention program wherein we are kind of developing a workflow where it stays on forever and kind of calculates the due date when a particular record should be deleted, which kind of installs some privacy regulations into the program itself. Again, like it's based on your unique needs. There are many kind of projects which we do in Marketo, and different projects need different functionalities. A nurture program needs capability to define the frequency of sending emails. Like you want to send it every week, you want to send it every month. This is not needed when you are sending a one-time email. Sometimes you want to send email in the time zone of recipients. Sometimes you don't want to send that email at all. And it's about the workflow to manage context of that audience data. My point is that there are different scenarios which different programs accommodate. Therefore, there is no one size fits all approach. There is a different program which can accommodate all different requirements. Marketo has four key types of programs, which are default with the brown briefcase icon. This is a flexible program. It doesn't has any specific functionality and can be used to kind of build anything you want. It can be built for any custom requirement. For example, it can send emails. It can also house an operational program. It can also set up nurture sequences. You could do anything you want with the default program. The second one is the email program with a purple mailbox icon. This is designed to set up an audience and send an email once. It has some extra features like it can systematically A B test your emails before sending it, and it can send emails in the time zones of recipients. And it's also one of the programs which has a dashboard to see insights from the email performance. The third type we are going to talk about are event programs with a blue calendar icon. These are designed to manage event related marketing. These can even integrate with event platforms like On24, Zoom, WebEx, and a lot more. Marketo does partner with a lot of them, and the integration is pretty seamless. In addition, these are used to manage pre and post event communication. And also, there are usually workflows which update the status of people in Marketo programs into the status for SFDC campaign. Now, what is an SFDC campaign? Let's spend a minute to digest what's an SFDC campaign. Think of SFDC campaign as a very similar residence, but in Salesforce. There's a component in Salesforce where you have this SFDC campaign as a residence of people who are relatively qualified to be in the radar of sales in the Salesforce platform. It's typical to send attendees from an event to an SFDC campaign via a smart campaign in Marketo to make sure sales is aware of the audience who has shown interest. There are more technical details I'm not going to cover here, but overall, this is mostly it about event programs. Next, the fourth program type we are going to talk about is engagement program. Engagement programs are designed to set up nurture sequences at certain frequencies. There is a sequence to send an email every week, every 2 week, every month, and you can define the frequency. You can't define the sequence. You can build multiple sequences. You can define the frequencies and activate it. Once you activate it, it kind of automates the email send based on the frequency you have set. These sequences are called streams in these Marketo engagement programs. There is also a concept of multiple sequences in this program, that is, multiple streams, and you can set up rules to trigger people out of their existing sequences and push them into new sequences. This design allows you to build nurture programs for specific products or even general content for different life cycle stages, or you could also base it on some different category. As I said earlier, it's up to your imagination. Nothing is going to restrict you. It's like a Lego. You have a blank canvas. Now do whatever you want with these features. Let's take an example of some stages. You have an audience or a database of a million records. Some of them are not qualified or just bad. Some of them are MQLs. Some are MELs, like they are eligible. It's a very high level to explain the statuses. You can obviously have your own, and typically these are more than just two or three. Usually these are like, MEL, MQL, SAL, all that. But let's say you mark these statuses using the standard default programs and smart campaigns for different levels of interest. Okay, I mean, if someone does this, you mark it as MEL. If someone does more than that, you mark it as MQL. You call them, MEL, MQL, and SAL for this particular example, and which means that MEL is something which MEL leads are people whom you can market to. There is no compliance issue. That is having a deliverable email address, etc. MQL is something basically where the people have shown relatively higher and more relevant interest, and SAL are people whom sales has accepted from Salesforce. Um, Okay, the point is that you have these three statuses, and now you want to send them into different sequences. You could set up a nurture to send different content to audiences in different stages, and you can define a sequence and decide on the content you want to promote in that sequence based on different stages. Because if people are MQL, you will want to send them more personalized content because you know what they have been interested in. People who are already accepted by sales, you might not even want to send them anything, or you might want to send them some updates, and that has to be in alignment with sales, of course. But the thing is that it's up to your own wisdom how to treat them. The point is, different treatments are possible for different audiences using different sequences in engagement programs, or what we call them in Marketo, streams. In engagement program, these sequences can be based on funnel stages. You may want to have different sequence for MQL and MEL so the content remain relevant. It can be based on any category. It could be a trial onboarding, abandoned cart sequence, simple generic nurture for every form will, maybe sequence for different offers you have, etc. And you can define these cadences in pretty precise manner in the program UI. So in conclusion, Marketo has four key program types. The default program is the one which is the flexible one with the briefcase icon. It doesn't has any specific functionality, but can be used for any custom requirement like sending emails, housing operational programs, or setting up nurture sequences. Email program represented by the purple mailbox icon. It's designed to set up an audience and send an email once with extra features like systematic A/B testing, time zone sending, and a dashboard for email performance insights. Event program with the blue calendar icon. These are designed to manage event, integrate with platforms like On24, Zoom, WebEx, etc. Handle pre and post event communication and can be used to update the status of members in their corresponding SFDC campaigns. Engagement programs are the ones which are used to set up nurture sequences at certain frequencies using streams to move people between sequences, allowing you to build nurture programs for specific products or different life cycle stages, or basically any category you want to group it by. All these programs are built in marketing activities area. And for every type of program, you can create a variety of reports to analyze the result. There are a variety of reports in Marketo which you can use. Overall, these are available in the analytics section, which is another major area of Marketo. You could create your own report inside the Marketo programs you create. It's pretty straightforward. You have a list of options like creating an email performance report, email link performance report, people performance report. You know that I like that. And there are many others. Getting to know how to work with these reports is so relevant and valuable as you are able to analyze the results of campaigns or overall insights about your audience. We did do a user group once on how to use these reports and use GPT-4 to create different visuals. You can check that out at the Adobe User Groups channel for Marketo. It's essentially using good prompting with the exports we get from Marketo of these reports in the CSV format and generating graph using some Python libraries. No, you don't need to know these libraries. ChatGPT can do it for you. I talk a lot about ChatGPT as well because it's such an open-ended capability of language. Although you could use simple Excel files or wherever you want to render it in dashboards. Of course, this is not a replacement of a systematic dashboard. You can set up some kind of dashboard in, let's say, Power BI or other platforms as per your needs. We'll talk more about reports, but for now, more about marketing activities. So these programs we talked about, which can house so much detail, are having some custom configurations as well, which you can make. And Marketo has this interesting capability of tagging programs. Now, I want you to simply consider tagging as a way to categorize or maybe organize. Tagging is essentially giving a label to something or placing some similar objects in one group. Think about anything around you. You can tag everything and assign some label or category to all objects around you, right? We do it all the time in our minds to organize things. We make sense of our world around us by tagging or categorizing everything we see around us in our minds. Even if you look around you wherever you are, you can spot many objects and start tagging them right now, like the phone, the laptop, the TV, etc. I mean, all these are in the group of electronics. The chair, your workstation, right? These are under the umbrella of furniture. I mean, you could do it all way long. Now, I want to talk about tagging because understanding this is so important to understand the true nature of how tagging works for Marketo programs. Essentially, tagging is a way to describe something. You can add multiple tags to an object, and the more you do, the more organized it gets, and it informs better context and it's more descriptive. Similar to how you can tag objects in real life, you can tag programs in Marketo as well. You can basically classify the program by categorizing by your team name, the purpose of the program, maybe the name of the planets, of whatever you can think of. The point is that you can tag with any category you want, whatever is that you imagine. The tags are created in the admin section of Marketo, while you can create your own tags. Marketo does comes with an inbuilt tag. Every program in Marketo by default has this inbuilt tag. This tag is called channel. This concept confused me when I tried to understand it when I was starting to learn Marketo. However, let's make it very clear. Channel is a type of a tag. It is not different from tags except for that it has an extra feature which is already inbuilt. It's basically a way to categorize by the marketing method used. Are you sending a newsletter or are you running an event? Well, this is a very similar to tag. It does has an extra functionality. It has a granular ability to have subcategories for the members of programs. And this is where it gets interesting. You can tag the program itself, which categorize the program type, and that's what we mean by tags. But when you do that in channels, it's already done. Marketo already provides you a tag called channel, but it also provides you some subcategories to track the progress of the members of that program. Sometimes you are marketing them via nurture sequences for seeking a requested demo request. You want to know the status on how many have actually requested a demo, how many have been engaged, how many have been dormant. And you could actually aggregate all that into statuses. Like you could have a channel of nurture for engagement program and then list the statuses for them, like, okay, dormant, engaged, requested demo. Now, these can be different for different scenarios, and you can have some granular reporting for your own programs for the specific purpose of your initiative. For the most times, these substatuses are used to track progressions of the members of the program. We use it all the time for events by giving them statuses like invited, registered, attended, no show, and this is also what helps you integrate programs with events. Think of statuses of program like data point in Marketo, which map to similar data points in another system, which in this case are event platforms. Whenever that event platform, let's say Zoom, marks people as attended, it syncs back and updates the status in Marketo. This is the program status we are talking about. Essentially, it is the status of members in a specific program, and these statuses are defined by your use case. You can apply the tags to any program. Channel is nothing but an inbuilt tag with some extra feature of statuses to track progression of members of the program inside the program. That's mostly it for the program types. Of course, there are updates that keep happening, but these four types and their program status should be enough to grasp the context and detail of what these programs are. Now, let's talk about analytics. Analytics is a section of reports. I want to clarify that this analytics is more about reports. It's not like the dashboards you might be expecting to see. It's essentially raw data and it's great. Let's talk about some reports. We primarily use Marketo for email marketing and marketing operations. So, email performance is the most widely used report in Marketo. It tells you counts of people whom you sent your emails, how many emails delivered, how many bounced, how many people opened, clicked, etc. Then we have more type of reports like email link performance report to illustrate how links are performing. This is where you can see which links got more clicks and you can analyze like what CTS perform better. And there are people performance reports, which is basically a metrics format, and you could group by different attributes and look at custom columns. It's a very creative report with their own criteria. And basically, you can group this report by anything. For example, funnel stages, country, or simply the time frame about when these people were created. In all, you have an audience and database section, campaigns and operations and marketing activities, creative assets, files and forms in the design studio, and reports and analytics. This is a pretty powerful combination of areas to build great campaigns with features of Marketo. They overlap and their flexible structures lets you build things with your imagination. Yes, we use these programs to set up marketing automation related operations around events or newsletters. However, it's not limited to that. You can integrate this with more tools and channels. I hope this makes things clear about Marketo programs and what are channels and tags. Understanding these concepts is extremely valuable if you are planning to work on Marketo projects